Hello, happy Wednesday, happy hump day. Welcome to my channel, Philly. Welcome to my kitchen. Today we are continuing our Wings Wednesday series. I feel really professional saying that. I'm so not a professional, but it just felt like really fancy saying our series. But it's kind of what it's become, because I guess it was in November or October. I think it was November that I started doing some wings on Wednesdays, and I decided each month we were going to do a different kind of chicken wing. So the one tonight I'm super excited about, and like most wings, your best efforts will result if you plan ahead. So if you plan this ahead the night before. So welcome to my stream. We're going to dive right in, because one of the things I'm going to be serving with these wings is caramelized onions. And you might say, Philly, that's an unusual thing to serve with caramelized onions. What made you think of that? Well, I will tell you, I did not think of that. So there is a place, there's a chain restaurant. Yes, that's a dirty word, a chain restaurant. There's a chain restaurant named Anthony's Coal-Fired Pizza, and we had one by us when we lived in the suburbs. And actually, we went there often. They had some great drinks, they had some great food, and one of our favorite things was their wings. And their wings weren't fried, and I love a fried wing. And you know that I'm a big fan of using my air fryer for wings now, but when I'm out, I love a good fried wing. But at this restaurant, their wings aren't fried, and they were delectable. They were marinated in rosemary and garlic and lemon and all this yummy stuff, and there was olive oil involved. And they were roasted in their coal fire ovens they use for their pizzas too. So you know that's a super hot oven. While the wings are not fried at Anthony's coal-fired pizza place, they really do have a great outer texture and amazing flavor. So at the restaurant, they serve their wings with caramelized onions and focaccia bread. So I'm gonna get our onions started right away, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the wings. So I'm gonna get this onion sliced. I already have my pan heating up, and I'm gonna get this going. So this is just for, basically kind of 2 small servings for Hubs and I. Anyway, so I'm just gonna get these sliced and into my pan so they can caramelize. And I'm gonna teach you a little trick that you may or may not be aware of, that you can do with your caramelized onions in case you're short on time, or they're just not turning out how you would like. So I will share that at the time when it's appropriate. So let me get these just sliced up, and I'm just gonna, in my pan now, I'm gonna get a little bit of olive oil in that pan that's been warming up. You don't want a pan too warm when you are caramelizing, because you want it to kind of be a slow-mo thing going on. You want it to just be a low flame and let them caramelize gently. No rushing. However, if we need to rush, I've got a hack for that. Because sometimes we don't always have the time to caramelize onions like the proper way. So we'll just see how it goes. And I've got a hack I can use just in case. Oh, DS, hello, how are you? Sending all my best from Philly to you and Ruby. Thanks for joining the stream. I'm just about to start caramelizing some onions, because we're gonna need them to go and be sprinkled on top of our wings. And I'm so excited about this recipe, because I think that's kind of an unusual thing to have happen with our wings. So I'm gonna just put some salt and pepper. And then we're just gonna let them go. So I have them on low. I'm just gonna kind of forget about them. I'm gonna kind of toss them, do a couple things with them every now and again. So let me tidy this up. I was talking about this restaurant named Anthony's Coal-Fired Pizza, which is where I had these wings the first time. So this is my home version of those wings. And I also had a cocktail there one of those times, and it was delicious. So I made it ahead of time, Italian Margarita, so you can go back and look at that. And I'm also gonna be releasing a short either tonight or tomorrow showing how to make it as well. So I first had this at Anthony's Coal-Fired Pizza, the same place where I had these delicious wings with the caramelized onions on top. So in this Italian Margarita, It kind of follows a similar vein as regular margaritas. There's a citrus aspect. For the Italian Margarita, the citrus aspect is orange juice. And then instead of the triple sec, you add amaretto. And so I kind of feel like with that part, you add to your desired sweet level. So I think Hubs adds usually a half of an ounce, 2 ounces tequila, 2 ounces of orange juice, and he does a half ounce amaretto. I do like about 3/4 ounce. And then I also like to put, let me see if I can find it. Oh, he's kind of hiding over there. I also like to put, you see that little red thing at the bottom, one of those Luxardo cherries, or you could put a maraschino cherry in there, just to make it a little fancy. So, happy Margarita Day to everyone out there. Yes, I do love a good refreshing cocktail. So we have our onions caramelizing. Let me just do a quick toss. Let me get my little wooden spoon. So the reason why you want to, when you're properly cooking caramelized onions, the reason why you want to cook it low and slow is because when you do so, it enables the sugar, the sweetness to really come out of that onion, which is what then caramelizes and gives them that really yummy sweet flavor. And so that's why we're not trying to get it seared, get them blackened, anything like that. We kind of want that low and slow. We want them to become almost meltingly tender. So we don't want to rush it, but like I said, because things are going to happen pretty quick here, if we need to at the end, I can always share with you the hack. And no matter what, I'll share with you the hack I have for those times you want to get some caramelized onions in a jiffy. So I'm going to let you know now what I did last night. So last night, I marinated the chicken, and I started the marinade. You don't want them to marinate more than 24 hours, but so anywhere between, I would say 8 and 24 hours. And so here are some fillets and some drumsticks, not drumsticks, but the wing, the flats and drums. And in here, there was fresh squeezed lemon juice, some whole garlic cloves that have been crushed a bit to release the garlic. They call for dry rosemary. I had fresh and I prefer the fresh, so I use fresh rosemary. And also in here you can see there's parsley, fresh rosemary, parsley, and then olive oil, and salt and pepper. So all of those things went in the marinade, and then I just kept flipping it. Like, whenever I think about it, I flip the bag just so that, and I think bags are great places to marinate meat because it keeps all of that close. So this smells amazing right now. Very fragrant, very aromatic. However, we are going to be putting it in the air fryer. And what I don't want to do is I don't want to put a bunch of wet wings in there. So now what I need to do is I want to dry it off. I'm going to get my air fryer preheated. Now, if you don't have an air fryer, you can absolutely just do this in your oven. And I do have the link below that shows the recipe that I found to mimic these roasted rosemary wings that are so delicious. But I want to get the moisture off right now and talk a little bit about what I did at the Super Bowl. So at the Super Bowl, well, not at the Super Bowl, but for the Super Bowl party, one of the things that I did was I cooked them in the oven first, just to kind of see how it would go in the oven. So there's a couple things that I would do differently. First of all, I am going to try my air fryer because I do have an air fryer. But if I wasn't going to use my air fryer, because frankly, the air fryer is a little limiting because it doesn't, have as much space. And we were having a party, so we wanted to, really have a big tray of wings going in there. So one thing you'd want to make sure is not to crowd them. So that would be important. The other thing you'd want to make sure is to, I put something down so that there wouldn't be all a big sticky mess. But what I found is that some parts just didn't get as crispy as I'd like. So in thinking about doing this today, one of the changes I wanted to make was doing the air fryer and get air circulating. So if I was going to do it in the oven, I would definitely put these on a rack on a cookie sheet. So that way there'd be that air circulating around. And certainly if your oven has, if it has convection, do use that when you're cooking it. If you don't have it, no worries, but if you do have it, use that. And then the next thing I would do in reflecting based upon different wings recipes that from different cooks, on the internet that I've watched in my experience is I think with these, I would use a little bit lower heat than they call for to get them cooked. And then I would ramp up the heat to try to get that crispiness and the browning. Because what you don't want to do is you don't want to burn them, but you do want that caramelization and that color because that mimics what was happening in the coal-fired oven. So for my air fryer, I'm going to be starting these off once this comes up to temperature. I'm going to be starting these off at 380, and then I will be, I'm going to be starting these off actually at 360, and then I'm going to be turning it up to the highest, oh my goodness, I'm a blubbering idiot. I am going to be starting at 380 because I'm thinking about changing temperatures, and then I'm going to put it at 400 at the end. So once I get them mostly cooked and I've turned them at least once, then I'm going to finish them up to try to get that char at 400. So that is my plan. So I'm going to take these off. Move this. And these are quite large, these drums. They are quite large. So what I'm going to be doing is getting these started first, and then adding my flats, because I know my flats will cook quicker than these big old drums. So let me get my flats on here so they can get all the moisture off. I hear my onions sizzling away, so I'm going to take a peek at those. And I'm going to just toss them a little bit, and I'll show you where we are so far. And this just smells so good. The garlic, the lemon, the rosemary, the parsley. I mean, what's not to love? Just lots of yumminess. Take this. I'm just patting this off. Now, what I will want to do when I put these back in is I want to spray my oil on top of this so that it can help crisp. So I do want to get some oil sprayed on there, but I just didn't want any of the wetness of the lemon juice and everything to interfere. So let me wash my hands. Let me check our onions. So these are low and slow, but look, they are already getting color. You can see that. And they've just been sitting here, and I'm just going to toss them around so you can see. There we go. So now I'm going to let them go again. It is on low. And I'm going to get these sprayed. I'm going to be using grapeseed oil. You could just use the olive oil, but we are going to be using a high temperature. So even though I marinated it in olive oil, now I'm going to just use my grapeseed oil. And then when I put these in, I'm going to put them in skin side down to start and then flip them. So this is going to take a little bit of a process. And I think my oven is all ready, so I'm going to head on over there. All right, so now I'm going to just give my basket a spray. Cubs is going to love this cleanup. I'm going to put them skin side down. I'm going to give the other side a spray. Okay, and I'm going to put those in for 8 minutes. Well, I'm going to keep this over there. And give them an 8-minute start. I'm going to put these here and get them with some oil on them. And I'm going to get this put away so we can get this tossed. So I'm going to put these over here. Let's check our onions. Okay, so they're continuing to color. I think we're going to be fine. I think these are going to be just fine. I think they're going to be all caramelized plenty by the time our chicken is done. So I think that's going to work out really well. I don't think we're going to need my hack, but I will tell you, if you're ever caramelizing onions, and you need them done quick, one of the things you can do is you could raise the heat and get them started quicker. And then the thing I like to do, I know some people just sprinkle some sugar on them so you kind of get that color and then you get the sweetness in a little bit more of an artificial way. But one of the things I like to do, even if I am not in a hurry, just because I like the flavor, is I like, after they've cooked for enough to get them tender, I like adding some balsamic vinegar to them, because it just, first of all, I love balsamic vinegar, and it is a sweeter vinegar. So when it reduces, you know, in that pan, it hits the pan, it reduces instantly, it almost makes it a little jammy, and it gives it that cool sweetness. So if you're ever in a rush and you want to have a caramelized onion look, but you don't really have the time to just slowly let them caramelize, remember that. Just kind of get them seared up, get them tender, and hit them with some balsamic vinegar. Not too much, but just a little bit at the end. It gives them some sweetness, and if the sweetness isn't enough, you could always add a little bit of honey or some sugar. That would be fine too. But I find that, for me, I actually find the balsamic vinegar just does the trick. Like, it just gives it that little hint of sweetness, since I kind of rushed them and didn't let all that sweetness come out on its own. Let me show you how our wings look so far. So I put the drums in because the drums were quite big and they look beautiful. I'm going to flip them and I'm going to add these flats. So let me do so. Oh, wait, let me first get the oil on there. Let me get my oil on here. There we go. Now put this side down. All right. So let me show you what we got going on here. We got a little hangout session of our chicken wings in here. So we've got the ones we got a head start on because they were bigger. I'm going to give another hit of oil just to make sure everything is encouraged to crisp up. Crisp up, my friends. And we're going to put them in for another 8 minutes. Let me check my onions. Oh my gosh. So these, I might actually just turn off the heat. These look like they are just about done. They look a little dry to me. Now, those of you who know me know that I actually try not to overdose on the oil and butter and things like that. Like, there is a time and place, right? When I'm making a carbonara, I'm not worried about the fat. But, you know, in an application like this, especially when I'm making my wings in my air fryer, I kind of want to be a little mindful of it. So I think I'm going to add a little drizzle of olive oil just to moisten these up a bit. And then in a few minutes, I'm just going to turn off the heat there and just let these sit, because these will be fine. Let me get a little drizzle. There you go. Actually, that's one of the things I like about when I add balsamic vinegar, if I'm caramelizing an onion quickly, is it adds that moisture, which is really nice too. Let me go check on my wings. Speaking of wings, let me go check on them now. Okay. So I should have put it there. So you can see my drums are getting nicely brown. My flats are starting to. I'm just going to turn everything, flip everything. Whoopsie. There we go. The flipping is the important part in air fryers. You know, you just want to give everything some tummy time and time for the backs to get nice and crispy. My goal is to get these cooked and then ramp up the temperature to get real crispy and caramelization on the outside. So still not the color I want, but we're getting there. So I'm gonna put this back in. There we go. And I'm gonna turn off the heat on my onions. So as I might have mentioned, Hubs and I are gonna make this our dinner. And so one of the things I wanted to do was to have a salad with it, because I think that's a nice way to balance something richer, is have a salad. So what I did was I just, at the bottom of the bowl here, you can see, all you can see right now is lettuce. At the bottom of the bowl, I chopped up some tomato. And on that tomato, I drizzled some salt and pepper, balsamic vinegar, olive oil, and basil. And then just to kind of let that marinate a little bit, that's something I like to do. And it wasn't a great tomato, so those winter tomatoes can sometimes really need some help. And so when you let it kind of marinate like that, it kind of helps make the tomato a little bit better than it might have been. And then I drizzle just a little bit of mayo on top, and then I chop my lettuce. And then it's not going to get wilted, but now I'm going to mix this all up. And what will happen is the little bit of mayonnaise that's there will help make the balsamic dressing just like a little creamy. Let's check these out. Oh my gosh. Well, they are looking better and better. Okay, so first let me show you what they look like so far. Oh, puppy just, she has some back leg issues. All right, so these are looking close. So I'm gonna flip them again. Wow. And now I'm gonna ramp up the heat to 400. And you know what, I wanna get, just a second, I wanna get these flats on the end, because when they're on the end, they get even more browning. And put these drums in the middle, because they've already had a lot of the browning love. There we go. Oh. Okay, so I'm gonna now put them in for 5 minutes at 400. Oh my goodness. Okay, this you gotta see. So if you can, oh no, that's not gonna work. I don't know if you can see that, the color. Here, let me take one of these out. Look at that color. Do you see that? Gorgeous. Gorgeous color. Gorgeous color. I'm gonna get one cooling off there for me. Gorgeous. Oh my gosh. So what I'm noticing doing them in the air fryer is they crisp up. And so I do think the air fryer makes it a little bit tricky when we are you know, doing a larger quantity. And so because I was doing a larger quantity for the Super Bowl, it kind of wasn't gonna work out super well for me. But certainly, let me get some water on this so Hubs appreciates that. Let me just put this here. But certainly if you are not doing a ton and you can, I would highly recommend doing them in the air fryer. That makes like all the difference in the world. Okay, let me just get some soap in there. Real life, right? You have something that's gonna be a bear to clean and you wanna kind of get it prepped already. Okay, there we go. Excellent. You put that pan there. Okay, so, and now I'm gonna hit them with some salt. Just to make sure we got some saltiness there. Put a little salt in my little one there. There we go. And I'm gonna use my tongs for these too. So I'm just gonna drape these all throughout. Oh my gosh, it smells so good. There we go. Need some here. My little sample. There we go. Put them on top. So, let me show you. There's our dish. Gorgeous. You can see better that way. Gorgeous, gorgeous color. The caramelized onions look beautiful. And here's our little sample wing. I'm trying to give myself a little time for it to cool. You can see it's crispy with those lovely onions on top. Okay, let's see how much I burn my mouth on this. It is so good. One thing I can't believe is how much better this is in the air fryer than in my oven. And again, I don't want to sway you from using your oven. I think the rack would help, but these, there's just something about the way the air fryer, just in a very small space, has the air running over the skin that gets it nice and crispy. So delicious. Mmm. Mmm. And those onions, so flavorful. Like, it's such an interesting combination, you know? Usually we think of dipping our wings in a sauce, but this with the onions on there is just delicious. They're tender. The wing is juicy. That hit of salt at the end was exactly what I needed. It gave you that touch, that saltiness right away before you went in, and it's already been marinated, but it's kind of what I was missing when we hadn't done that for the Super Bowl. These are delicious. I highly recommend. So good. And if you do them in the oven, first of all, if you do them in an oven, if you have a convection oven, use convection. Remember, you'd mimic the temperatures that I did it in my air fryer, because air fryers are like a kind of a hyper version of convection. So cook them first at 380 and then ramp it up to 400. If you're roasting them, I would do it as high as you could, like maybe 450, and but have them on a rack, and I would just turn them. Just make sure you turn them like maybe every 8 minutes, just so that they can kind of be turning and that skin can be crisping. Yes, and I might have them at the top too, because if you're in a regular oven and your air isn't circulating, I feel like when you have it at the top, you kind of have created this like denser space that can get the heat on it a little bit more, and it helps kind of trap it a little bit more. So yes, these are phenomenal. I highly recommend them. If you want a wing that isn't greasy, that just has like delicious flavor, something different, and actually it's kind of freeing that it doesn't have a sauce. There's nothing against sauces. I love a good sauce, but it's just something that just has a totally different look. And to me, this with our salad that we have is going to be absolutely delicious. So thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Drew. Thank you, Susie. Oh, they were so delicious, so delicious. Let me see, Drew, what you said. You said, my plan for now is I'd like to do live stream sometime this year. You should. And oh my goodness, please let me know when you do, because I would love to pop on. I would absolutely love that. And they are delicious. Highly recommend. The link is below. The link below shows you the recipe that I used for this. Also, it shows a link to the restaurant. Now, I know Drew knows the restaurant, but in case you're just curious about this chain, that's below as well. But yes, so thank you, Drew. Thank you, Susie. Thank you, GS. And thank you to anyone else that's joining us that wanted to stay kind of back in the wings. No problem. And thanks so much for your support. And I will see you guys. I don't think I will see you this weekend. I believe I will see you next week for the try or buy. But you never know, like every once in a while I might pop on with some shorts, because I'm always cooking and always trying to share things. Oh, and I will be sharing the recipe today or tomorrow for the orange margarita. So happy National Margarita Day, and I hope everyone has a great rest of the week, and wishing all the best to you and yours until we eat again. See you later.